So today, we're going to dive into something called the narrative error engine. And yeah, it's a pretty radical new way of thinking about something every single one of us deals with, probably every day, those frustrating command line errors. This is all about how we can turn that moment of failure into a genuine feature.
You know the feeling, right? You're totally in the zone, you've typed out your command, you hit enter, and boom, nothing. Or worse, you get some totally cryptic message that makes zero sense and sends you straight down a Google rabbit hole. It's this universal pain point that just shatters our focus and honestly kills our productivity.
So, first things first, let's really define the enemy here. We're talking about the traditional command line error, which, let's be honest, often feels less like a helpful nudge in the right direction and more like a hostile roadblock. And this right here, this just says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the classic, fatal error, invalid flag. What does that even mean? It tells you nothing. But on the right, that's the promise of this new approach, a helpful, almost conversational response that actually teaches you something. It's a fundamental shift from accusation to education.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because it breaks down the real damage these errors cause. It's not just one annoying moment. First, these cryptic messages add a ton of cognitive load. We have to stop what we're doing and become detectives. The tone can feel kind of hostile, which creates anxiety, especially for beginners. And that leads to the biggest point. It's just a terrible learning experience. Bad error handling doesn't just annoy us. It makes us repeat the same mistakes over and over because we never learned why we were wrong in the first place. Okay, so that's the problem. What's the fix? Well, it's a completely different way of thinking about mistakes. It's what we're calling a narrative revolution, where an error isn't the end of the road. It's the start of a conversation.
So let me introduce you to the Narrative Error Engine, or NEE for short. The whole idea is to take those awful, hostile error messages and transform them into these short, story-driven animations that actually explain what happened and show you the right way. The key things to remember here are that it's designed to be educational, super engaging, really performant, and totally extensible. It's not just about being clever, it's about being genuinely effective. So how does it actually do this? Well, the engine has this neat 5-step process. First, it captures your input. Then, it analyzes the error to figure out what went wrong. Based on that, it selects the perfect story to tell. It then presents that story as a little animation, right in your terminal. And finally, it suggests a real, actionable correction. It's this perfect little loop, taking you from mistake to mastery. All right, now this is my favorite part. At the very heart of the NEE, you've got these 4 distinct storytellers. You can think of them as these personified modes, each one designed to handle different kinds of errors with its own unique personality and style. So how does it know which storyteller to call up? Well, it's pretty smart about it. It looks at the context of the error. Is it a simple typo? Is it the 3rd time you've made the same mistake? Or are you trying to do something potentially dangerous? Each situation gets a tailored response, from the friendly professor all the way to the pretty hilarious courtroom mode. First up, let's meet our gentle guide for beginners. This is Professor Mode. The professor is your go-to for those first-time slip-ups or basic typos. It operates on this core belief that errors are teaching moments. So instead of just slapping you on the wrist, you get this really gentle guidance that explains what you did, why it was wrong, and how to fix it. It's all about making the terminal a safe place to learn. Okay, next up, things are about to get a little more dramatic. Welcome to Time Travel Mode. This mode kicks in when you make the same mistake twice, or if you're trying a command that's a little bit risky. Its whole philosophy is that mistakes have consequences, but they can be undone. It actually visualizes your command history like a timeline, showing you the exact moment you went off track, and then guides you back to the correct path. It's pretty cool. Now, for all you power users out there, there's the AI Mentor. The AI Mentor is designed for those really complex commands where maybe your intent wasn't totally clear. It lives by the motto, errors become conversations. So it doesn't just correct you, it actually gives you intelligent suggestions and alternative ways to do what you're trying to do. It turns a potential roadblock into a moment of discovery, even for the most seasoned developers. And finally, for those moments when you really mess up, well, you get summoned to courtroom mode. This is triggered by commands that are potentially destructive, or just so badly written that they make no sense. And using a great sense of humor, it actually stages a mock trial for your failed command. The idea here is that rules matter, but learning matters more. It's this super memorable, funny, and honestly a surprisingly effective way to teach you about dangerous commands without, any of the real-world consequences. So you might be wondering, okay, this sounds great, but how does all this magic actually happen? Let's take a quick peek under the hood at the tech that makes this engine tick. Underneath all that creativity, the actual flow is incredibly simple and elegant. First, a parser breaks down your input. Second, an analyzer classifies the mistake. Is it a typo, a syntax error, something more serious? And third, the story router uses that analysis to pick and deliver the perfect narrative. It's a really powerful and efficient pipeline, from your mistake to your story. All right, let's pull back for a second and wrap up by talking about the bigger picture. We're talking about the future of feedback and why this whole narrative approach really, truly matters.
At the end of the day, it's all about productivity. This chart shows the single most important success metric, error recovery time. The goal of the knee is to get you back on track, from the moment you make a mistake to entering the correct command, in under 5 seconds. Think about that. That's a massive reduction in the time we all waste trying to decipher confusing feedback.
And I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds cool, but is it a real tool? And the answer is a huge yes. This isn't just a fun concept, it's designed for the real world. It has accessibility built right in, so it respects system settings like reduce motion. It's smart enough to auto-detect when it's in a CI/CD pipeline and just use plain text. It's built to be a helpful, practical citizen in any dev's workflow. And really, it all comes back to this one powerful idea. By reframing errors as opportunities to learn, the narrative error engine isn't just trying to make our tools smarter, it's trying to make us better developers. And it leaves you with a really interesting question. What other parts of our developer experience could be totally transformed just by changing our perspective?